Hi, I'm Elder Hansen from the podcast of Horror Movie Talk of Latter-day Saints, and I'd like to share a message with you about the movie of Heretic. Movie Heretic. Yeah. Do you have time to listen to our message? Fuck. Is this a metal thing?
Yes. Little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Break.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, Daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso.
Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Elder Hansen, and with me each week is Elder Max. What's your last name?
Dude, it's right there, okay?
Elder Allen, and Sister Lee, and special guest today, Sister Wilson. So every week we review a single horror movie. New theatrical releases get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Please do all the things to help us out. That includes reviewing and subscribing to us on all the places, liking, hitting that bell. Full video is available on YouTube, so check us out there. You'll be able to see any of the visual gags that Max is not quite ready to commit completely to.
I've committed. So I have a whole baggie of visual gags. Look at this. Memorabilia.
Okay. All right, put on the tag. Put on the tag, Max.
I don't want to do that.
Exactly.
It has my God's name on it. I don't want to joke around.
I'm not a heretic. I still believe a little bit. Okay. So also, if you want to really support the show, go to patreon.com/horror movie talk and get a ton of bonus content. And if you want to call and leave a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Today we got a great show. I'm really excited about talking about Heretic. We start out by giving a brief synopsis and review and a score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. So you can hop out if you haven't seen the film yet and you want to leave it unspoiled. And then later on, me and Max will bloviate about mission stories. I told Max to prepare a couple mission stories.
I did.
And then we can check our voicemails. We got a couple new voicemails that we can...
Oh, I thought Sydney was going to share certain types of stories too.
I'm not going to do that, actually. No, I'm actually not going to do that. It's...
Oh.
Sydney, you sound a little hoarse this morning.
Yeah.
With your sunglasses. Why are you wearing... Is it really bright? Do you have a cold?
Number one, it is really bright in here because of the light, the lights. But no, I'm hungover. I'm hungover for the Mormon episode, guys.
Perfect.
Sydney, I've been doing this really great program called AA that I think that you might benefit from.
What does it stand for? Alcoholics
Anonymous.
Oh. Well, I don't think that's, her main problem, but
I really don't drink that much. I really don't.
She
just
doesn't
when
have
you
a problem
do.
with drinking.
Yeah, let's just air out the activities that I do in my free time.
Is there a Alcoholics Anonymous?
Stop! Don't say that! You can't say... What the fuck? Like, actually don't say that.
You just said.
I said activities. That could mean fucking anything. It could be robbing a store.
Okay, we will bleep that out. We will bleep it out.
You're bleeping that out. That's so... Bryce, don't say that shit.
I'll bleep it out. Oh, you big babies.
Big baby? I have a job.
You do the crime, you do the time, Sydney.
I'm I'm gonna exit and not be on this episode.
I'll bleep it out. It's fine. Okay, so Heretic can be found in theaters now. The synopsis is 2 naive Mormon missionaries, Sister Barnes and Sister Paxton, knock on the door of Mr. Reed, a lead that has expressed interest in learning about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Mr. Reed, played by Hugh Grant, is charming and warm to the ladies, but begins directly challenging their beliefs. As the sisters get more and more uncomfortable, they discover that they've been trapped inside the house and are given the Monty Hall choice of exiting through the door marked belief or the one marked disbelief. All of this is in the trailer. It really kind of gives too much away in the trailer. Do you kids know what the Monty Hall reference is? No?
No.
Okay.
Sorry,
Jordyn?
Dad.
Nothing? All right, I'll let you Google it. It's either a pop culture reference or a probability reference, depending on what nerd you are.
Okay. I know what it is now. I just wasn't familiar with the name.
It's from Let's Make a Deal, the game show. Monty Hall was the original host of it, and there is a gimmick where you have a choice between 3 doors for a prize. Okay, so getting into the review. All right, Sydney is going to be shut down. Sydney, I promise I'm editing it out. It's going to be okay.
You better. That's not cool.
Okay.
We talk about it in the afterpod, but not on the main podcast.
All right, I'll edit it out. It's not a problem. Let's move on.
Bryce,
I got my
you
phone taken
hurt
away
her
because I was
feelings.
texting you guys last night. I got my phone taken away because they were like, you shouldn't be telling them what you're doing right now because they're going to be mad at you. And so I got my phone taken away by one of my friends last night. So,
Bryce,
Okay.
I think you owe Sydney an apology.
I think you do too.
Okay, I apologize. I didn't know it was going to be that big of a deal.
Of course it is. It's not.
All right.
Okay. Let's just keep going.
Okay. So, in terms of a review, I can recognize that this is not a fantastic movie. However, I was thoroughly entertained for my own reasons, having served a mission for the LDS Church. I was pumped to see a Hollywood movie premise around the experience. Usually it's like just used as a joke, or it's made by the church and no one sees those anyways, or made by Mormons and it's like kind of the niche Christian movie. So it's kind of unique to see it treated as a like real characters in a real movie. Most of my enjoyment came from picking apart what they got wrong and what they got right. So your mileage will definitely vary on this one. That being said, it's a unique premise, and the themes of religion, belief, and doubt are rarely given this much thought and analysis in a horror movie. I thought the performances were great. I love Hugh Grant as a character actor in his later career more than him as a romantic lead in his early career. I don't know. Have you guys seen The Gentleman?
No.
Nope.
No?
I'd
He was
never
really
heard
good in
of
The
Hugh Grant
Gentleman.
until
It's
this
like
movie.
just a very smarmy character, and of course, like he was the Oompa Loompa in Wonka, so he's going wild with like character parts.
Wait, you've never seen a Hugh Grant movie, Max? Is that what you said?
I've never heard of Hugh Grant until this movie.
That's like insane. No
That
way.
is insane.
That's actually insane.
You've never
He's one of
Have
the
you-
most
do you
famous
see any
actors
romantic
Is he in
ever.
that
comedies?
Lebowski thing?
No.
no,
he's
you've never seen
British.
Notting Hill?
What?
He's in that Christmas movie. You know what I'm talking
Christmas
about.
Elf.
movie.
Love Actually.
Love Actually.
I've never seen that one,
It sucks.
but
It's
About a
terrible.
Boy was.
Yeah.
I owned that one. I loved that one.
He's great. I like Hugh Grant. Apparently, he's not great behind the scenes. The rumors are. Well, according to TikTok, so I don't know how much I can actually trust that. I think he made Drew Barrymore cry on the set of Love and Music, which is, I mean, that's rough. Don't make Drew Barrymore cry. Anyways, he was in this movie. He's properly menacing as a spider entrapping these women in his web. The female leads both did very well, especially Sophie Thatcher portraying the awkward, earnest humor of a Mormon missionary. The writing and pacing is very inconsistent. It's not without its problems. Some stretches of exposition dumps come off as heavy-handed and preachy. There were some character inconsistencies, and I'm sure there are plenty of plot holes that people can pick out to fill. The first act is definitely the best, and most of it you see in the trailer, unfortunately. The dread and terror as the sisters slowly realize that they're in real danger and getting gaslit by Mr. Reed is great. And their attempts to try to navigate politely out of the situation was really spot on for those characters. So again, most of my enjoyment was just the novelty for me of seeing the missionaries and the religion that I used to be a part of being so thoroughly used in a movie. But I can recognize the film has a lot of problems and is very uneven. It gets very preachy, very heavy-handed with its like themes. It's not very subtle at all. So I'd still give this, for general audiences, a score of like 6 out of 10. It's better than average. It's still interesting, but it's not great. What do you guys think, Max?
Well, so I also served a mission. This is cute little 19-year-old me standing next to a surfboard. And so I feel like I have a little bit of insight, although I have never been a sister missionary, so I'm sure that
True.
There's some differences there. There's still time. I will say that one thing about Bryce, your quick take, you said that the writing was good. I'm going to push back on that a little bit and say that I think there are moments where the characters don't talk like missionaries, and they certainly don't even talk like human beings. I mean,
I'll defend myself. I admit it's inconsistent. There are times where it's like way off, but there are some very accurate moments in the writing and the characterization.
I was watching a pornography where the characters were sexing, and no one talks like that. But I do think there was some things that it got really right, especially because I think both the sister missionaries were part of the church at one point in their lives. And just the way that they stand, like with their bikes and like walk with them, I was like, it just feels right. You know, it looks natural. I agree that it felt very preachy. I kind of liked part of the dialogue dumps just because that's basically all I watch on YouTube is just people explaining what they think about theology for an hour and a half. And that's like my thing. I enjoy listening to that regardless of what your viewpoint is. And so oddly, I think that was my favorite part. Once it started getting more into like the scary parts, I kind of lost interest a little bit. So I don't think I hated the movie as much as I expected to hate it. I thought it was a little better than most movies we go to see. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10.
Great. Sydney, what did you think?
I did not like this movie at all. I'm excited to get more into it so you guys can tell me like what was accurate and not accurate, like specifically. But I did not think that the writing was very good. I think that the final girl, she was the best actress in this, given like with the lines that she was given. I didn't think Sophie Thatcher was like good at all. Like she was it was kind of ridiculous, like what she was doing.
Wait, wasn't Sophie Thatcher I thought Sophie Thatcher was the final girl.
Isn't she the one with the brown hair? The dark hair.
Let me check.
Yeah.
Sophie Thatcher was in
she's
Yellow
in
Jackets.
Yellow Jackets.
And
yeah.
Boogeyman?
Yeah. But yeah,
okay. So yeah, you're right. I meant to say Chloe East then. Yeah, I agree.
Okay.
She was probably the
that
better
makes more
one.
sense. Yeah. I think that the premise was really good. I thought the opening scene was really funny, but no one was laughing in the theater. And I then realized that probably not a lot of people really understand what Mormonism is in like Massachusetts. So we don't like really have that here, I guess. But am I completely frozen? Can you hear me?
Okay. Sydney froze. I'll have to edit this out. Wow, she really froze.
Yeah, I froze for
Okay.
a while. What was the last thing you heard?
So you're at the part where you're saying you're in the theater and didn't think people really understood
Mormonism, because we don't like have that here really, and I feel like people like when things were happening, like these girls are going out and like, you know, in the beginning of the movie, and they're trying to like, you know, be missionaries. Like people were whispering to each other next to me, being like, "Dude, what is it? Like, what's going on?" Like, and I thought that was really interesting. But yeah, I don't think that it was really scary or the execution was well at all. Like the whole like culmination of everything was just like, okay, like you're an atheist. That's crazy, man. Really subversive there. But I didn't like the sound design. I thought the music was like the score was placed at like really weird times in the movie. Like it would be silent and then it would be like really loud. And I was like, it was very disjointed. I didn't like Hugh Grant in it. I thought he was ridiculous. And yeah, I just didn't like the movie at all. I just really didn't like it. I'm going to give it a 3 because I did laugh a couple of times.
Your short that you posted, the quick take review, was a simple pee pee poo poo. It was a pee pee poo poo movie, according to your quick take. So
pee pee poo poo, yeah.
What did you think, Jordyn?
Okay, I loved it. Surprise, I'm the contrarian here. But the acting, good. Casting, great. I thought. Character development, A+. Pop culture references, yes. Moments of levity, love. Honestly, I would probably score it as a horror film, maybe a 6, but as a film, like an 8. And I think that films like Heretic are the reason why I'm so drawn to horror films as a whole. They just tend to reflect like our collective anxieties and give us a way to critique power structures and current events. And I don't know if you've all noticed, but we're in the midst of a polycrisis. And it just feels like, you know, I don't know, especially A24, like there's always going to be an underlying critique there. Things are a little deeper. And so it's just a really good thought exercise for me in thinking about the way that we're critiquing religion and thinking about these broader power systems. But I hear you on the pacing, like in the writing kind of being inconsistent. But overall, I thought it was a really fun film. I had a great time.
Yeah, I think that like I I think the setup was really good. Like the first like 20 minutes, I was like really into it. I was like, what's gonna happen? And it's all about like that execution for me. Like, what is going to be this big thing that, like, you know, in a horror movie especially, what is going to be the big thing that's going to be like the big scary something? And I don't know, I guess that's the part that fell flat for me. I was just like, I don't care.
Totally. Like another man, you know?
Hey.
Terrifying.
The finale is, you know, leaves a little to be desired. I think I saw, especially the finale, what they were going for, and I don't know how I would necessarily improve it with like the kind of the thesis statement that they're trying to make of this is the point of the movie. It needed to be better in that delivery of it. You know, when he finally reveals like this is the true religion or whatever. I get it, but I think there's better ways to do it. I think the other part that could have been a little more subtle was the kind of the social pressure side of it. The other movie that this reminded me a lot of, especially the first, you know, act or two, was Speak No Evil, which was, it's all about making you feel uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to go beyond social niceties. And in this situation, you know, these two young missionaries like have a goal in mind. They have a job that they're supposed to do in addition to just having the social niceties of being, you know, not, you know, talk back or not challenging to this person, because they're still, you know, hope springs eternal that you're going to convert this person to your religion. I think it could do a little bit better job, but I think it did well enough that it was passable.
You know, another thing that I remembered that I disliked about this movie is one of the characters goes from being like a naive idiot to like Sherlock Holmes in like the course of 5 minutes. And I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that. I wanted to talk about that with the spoilers. That's a huge problem with the movie. All right. Anyways, hey, listen, you probably heard some commercials up to this point, and you should know you don't have to. Go to patreon.com/horrormovietalk and subscribe at the tier that gets you early access without commercials. And then commercials are a thing of the past. Support your creators. That's me and Max and Sydney. And sure, why not Jordyn? Also, check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel. He's a professional artist that takes commissions, guys. If you like our cover art for our episodes, contact him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00, and make your artistic dreams come true. Again, if you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. Thanks again. Let's get into spoilers. Okay, gotta unmute just in time to burp into the...
You guys didn't think that the opening scene was funny? I thought it was funny. I was like, this is a great setup for like these two little innocent Mormon girls that are going around on their mission. I thought it was silly.
Yeah, it was the most inaccurate part of the movie, to be honest. Like this was
really?
Like it opened with this scene. I was like, oh no, this is going to be bad. Because it's just, thank you, Sydney. It's just not accurate at all to how they would talk about these things. Okay, I wouldn't put it past missionaries or sister missionaries to talk about sex in some form, but the purity culture and the demurity of missionaries And there's so much like, they would not talk about it that directly. And especially they wouldn't talk about porn. Like they would not mention that they'd ever looked at porn. Maybe some elder missionaries, maybe it would come up. So for example, like one of my apartments that I went to, I think my first apartment that I went to had like this meme posted to the wall where it had like this monster chasing a kitten in the foreground. It says, every time you masturbate, God kills a kitten. And so, and that's like the extent of what the fuck? And that was like,
oh, come on. That's hilarious.
It's hilarious. But that like in terms of like surprising, that was shocking to me that someone would leave that in a missionary apartment. Like, it's just not done. You don't talk about it. You wouldn't talk about dicks. You wouldn't talk about condoms. You wouldn't talk about like porn to your missionary companion, because the thing you're trying to do is maintain a level of purity and earnestness and conform to the standards of the church. And a lot of that comes with like, you just don't talk about certain subjects. You don't use swear words. So that part felt inaccurate. There's probably ways you could talk about some of that, but it wouldn't be in that language. It wouldn't be that direct.
I would say that like maybe some missionaries would have a conversation about porn, but they would not end it with, and yeah, that video really built my testimony.
Right.
That really connected me to God. Like that part definitely doesn't happen. So it was odd.
See, this is why I love Catholicism, because you can do whatever you want and God will forgive you. You can do anything. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, we don't have none of that shit.
Hey.
If you do some bad stuff, there are consequences. You're a bad boy.
No, you need to go say 10 Hail Marys, 10 Our Fathers, kneel before the altar.
In Mormonism it would be
how many Hail Marys did you say after last night?
I don't know. I didn't say a single one. I just said, let me get home,
if you went to your priest, what's the standard for 2 servings of
how do you,
whatever you
how do you
partook
solve
of?
for forgiveness? Like
how do you,
one
like
sin times yeah. How do you solve for forgiveness there? How do you figure out how many to say?
It depends on how bad your sins are. I mean, I haven't been to fucking reconciliation in years, but I would just say, like, I would lie every time. And then I used to, I don't know. I used to be like, I was mean to my mom.
You just have a Hail Mary on there for lying.
Yeah, whatever.
This is such an interesting concept, like the way different religions treat sin and absolving yourself from sin, because yeah, like Catholics have like, yeah, you go in.
Well, you have to say the act of contrition. You have to say the act of contrition while you're doing it. So like you have to express your forgiveness, which is,
right.
My God, I'm sorry for my sins with all my heart and choosing to do wrong and failure to do good. I've sinned against you, whom I should love above all things. I firmly intend, with your help, to do penance, to sin no more, and to avoid whatever leads me to sin. Our Savior Jesus Christ suffered and died for us in his name. My God, have mercy.
Right.
And then the priest goes, okay, thanks.
You seem well practiced at
10
that,
Hail
Sydney.
Marys. I just read it. I just read it off of the screen. I didn't remember.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. So like there's like a transaction of penance in terms of like almost meditation. It's like you're required to do this much meditation to like get yourself in the right frame of mind. With Mormonism, it's like you did a bad thing. The Spirit of the Lord is no longer with you. You have to like work to bring yourself back in alignment. And that usually has some aspect of like a physical manifestation. So like when I was younger, like I couldn't pass the sacrament while I was in penance, or you can't go to the temple There's certain things you can't do like in full activity as a member. And so it's also
that.
a little like, it's a little visible. So like if you are seen, you're sitting next to your parents and like your siblings and you're like, no, I can't take the sacrament right now. So yeah, that's right. You can't pass it, but you also can't partake of it during your repentance process. And so there's that. And then there are some like evangelical or some Protestant stuff is around like, or born again, which is basically like, listen, if you're saved, you're saved. And then the concept of like, there's no such thing as degree of sin. It's just sin, and everyone sins. So like the idea of like a murderer, being saved on the deathbed is a possibility because like you're just being saved. You accept Jesus Christ as your savior, and his sins are no necessarily more extreme. Like there's no like gradation of sin in some religions, which is wild to me because it's like, I mean, obviously murder is more extreme than masturbation. But you know,
I was Methodist. I was raised Methodist. We didn't do any of that. There was not a lot of shame, but also we only went to church for like the holidays. Actually, the Hugh Grant's character reminded me so much of the freshman year of college, Religion in America, Missouri State University guy. Who's the reason I am an atheist, and also he was a Lutheran pastor, I come to find out. But yeah, my childhood church actually, they were Methodist, which if you know anything about
Methodism,
yes,
methodology.
Yeah, I know. That's what I almost said. The thing is like open mind, open hearts, open doors. But my childhood church, like 5 years ago, and I hope you people hear this, they left the church because they allow LGBTQ clergy members. And so, yeah, the open minds, open hearts, open doors was not for my community in Bell, Missouri. So,
yeah, I mean, there was, I don't know if you're referring, if that's like a specific church thing, or there was actually like a schism within the Methodist church between the global Methodist church and like the U.S. Methodist church, which is the U.S. Methodist church is much more progressive and accepting of LGBTQ, like clergy and marriages and stuff. And like the global Methodist church, which I think most of the membership is in Africa, we're like, no, not interested. And so there was that was one of the reasons why I kind of like backed out of that church, because we started going to a Methodist church locally, and then they started like all this stuff about like the schism around gay rights, and I'm like, I just dealt with this. Like that's the reason why I left the Mormon. One of the reasons why I left the Mormon church. I'm like,
it's like, God damn it, I just want a little community here.
Right.
Like, that's it.
So anyways, going back to the movie, the idea that they'd be talking about condoms and dick sizes is beyond the pale. But they quickly got to more accurate.
Like it's sorry. It's funny that they have this discussion, and then later on in the movie, spoilers, when Sophie Thatcher dies, Hugh Grant takes her birth control out of her arm and then goes, "She's a robot." and they're like, and the other girl is like, so that's a birth control implant. That was so funny. I was like, what the fuck? Because when I saw the scar on her arm, I immediately knew, because I have had friends that have that implant. And so I was like, oh, she has a birth control implant. And then when he took it out, and he was like, he's supposed to be like this smart person. Like, I don't know. Like, how does he not know what birth control implant is. Like, it just like it didn't make any sense to me, and I just thought it was funny.
I think he knew. I think he was banking on her not knowing. I mean, I'm a big dumb man, and even I knew that was birth control, but
I thought she was a robot. No, like, yeah, very, very quickly it got to more accurate Mormon missionary stuff, like the door approach, the nerves, and like the talking over this, or just not paying attention to what the person you're talking to is just saying to you because you're too like zoned in on like delivering your message, and you're so used to someone like being mean to you that you're trying to like avoid addressing them. That's all very accurate. And a lot of the stuff like during the lesson that they were teaching Mr. Reed was very accurate. So wasn't all bad. Oh, also being harassed by people as a Mormon missionary, totally normal. I can't tell you how many times.
I couldn't believe she got pantsed in the year of our
that's
Lord,
pretty wild.
2024.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. But making fun of them for having quote unquote magical underwear is a common thing.
I would just knock on a door and be like, "Hey, my name is Elder Allen. Do you have time to hear a message?" And they'd be like, "Yeah, I want to hear about your underwear. Tell me about your magic underwear." And I'd be like, I wasn't planning on starting there, but I guess we can."
You know, in retrospect, I wish I learned some street magic just so I could like produce some cards out of my underwear. Just be like, "Oh, I would love to show you." Like, what? Is this your card? Or just like reaching in my pants, like, aha, the ball was in here the whole time. Yeah, I mean that there's a couple things that are like are obvious targets for any Hollywood movie because it's kind of the stuff people already know about, which is number one, magic underwear, number two, polygamy, easy targets for the Mormon Church, and it's tiresome for us because we've talked about it forever, and it's like the main thing that people talk about. But like, I'll just say, number one, magic underwear. It's basically a uniform that you don't see. So like there's plenty of religions that have wearable tokens of their religion. Like Judaism has, you know, phrase on their garments. Like there's stuff that people do. People wear crosses. Like there's signifiers or reminders of your religion that you wear. And the garment is basically that for Mormons. And yes, there's like ritual tied to it and like messaging that's baked into it about like how you think about it and what it is. But it's not as weird. It's a little more like of a commitment than most people's like religious garb, but it's lay clergy, so everyone is basically would be wearing the vestments of the religion as opposed to just the priesthood, I guess. So that's my explanation of that.
I think it's like growing up with it. It seems like way more normal than I think a lot of people give it credit for. Like, obviously, if you're not used to it, then it's going to sound really weird. But like, for me, it's a top and a bottom that I wear every day that has 4 symbols on it, and each symbol represents Jesus Christ in some way. And so I put it on, and it helps me remember the promises that I've made to Jesus Christ and his sacrifice for me. And it's like, and that's it. That's what it's for, is to help me think of him every day.
And it's literally not that dissimilar to boxer briefs and a t-shirt. Like that's not really that different than other people's normal underwear. It's a little different, but it's not that extreme.
I can't believe I didn't know
and then
that. I can't believe I didn't know that Mormons had special underwear until I watched The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I didn't know. until those girls were talking about it.
For women, for women, it's a more of a thing because the cut of the garment restricts the type of clothing, outerwear that you can wear. So like there's a huge thing in the church of like, you can't wear sleeveless stuff. Like you can't, because the garments have sleeves and you have to cover your underwear, you know? So yeah, there's definitely a compromise that comes with committing to wearing the holy garment, but it's part of the ritual and part of the, you know, the way to remind yourself of your commitment to God and the church.
Although sleeveless garments are coming fall 2025.
Yeah, big news coming for garments. They just started offering sleeveless garments in like hot climates, which will of course be the de facto immediately. All right, I can see the non-Mormons are
I know we're getting a little too in the weeds here.
I'm like, what's going on? Can we talk about
the other thing, like the polygamy, like so they get invited in to Hugh Grant's house, and
they're not supposed to go in, right? Why would they go in if his wife isn't in the room? That they're not supposed to be in there. I was really mad at them. I was like, this is like, you guys are devout, I'm assuming. So I'm like, they ask like so many times, can you get your wife in here? And it's like, once they figure out that there's not a wife there, it's already too late. But they like, after your third ask and this guy just going somewhere else in the house and not coming back for a while, like, wouldn't you like try to devise a plan to leave? Like, I don't know. And the door,
see, this is how,
like, I don't know.
This is how it started getting accurate, because like the whole thing of, because for me seeing the trailer is like, there would never be two sister missionaries go into a single guy's house. Like that's just not possible. Like they're not allowed. And so the fact that they mention like, is there another person in here, or another woman, that is accurate. And the way they handled getting over it was like, yeah, he said that his wife was there and they believed him because they wanted to believe him. You know, that's kind of the whole point, is that they're wanting to be polite. They want to like not make it difficult, because they want in the door and they want to teach them about the church. And if they can say they're obeying the rules, then they go in, because it gets a little weird if you're like, let me see her. I don't believe you. Proof.
Well,
let me see the wedding ring.
I would break that rule a lot on my mission, but I think there's a little bit of a difference for guys and girls. Like, I wasn't worried about my safety, really. I was worried about, hey, this person actually wants to talk to me, and I've just got 50 no's before I got here, and someone said yes, and there's no man in the house. I'm just going to go in anyways because I want to teach a lesson, you know? Yeah. But for women, there's a lot more of a safety aspect.
Yeah, in this movie especially. Like, they're in danger.
Yeah, and there's stories of, I mean, there's reasons for why they have that, and there's stories of people getting in trouble or whatever. So mainly it's like, yeah, two men missionaries can't go into a single, like if there's only a single woman there has to be, what are the rules, Max? Does it matter what sex they are? There has to be a man.
Yeah, there has to be another man there.
Yeah. So even if it was like two women, like you'd still need a man there, which gets awkward.
No. If there's two women, you need a woman. If there's two men, you need a man.
Right. So yeah, if there's two elder missionaries, you need a man there. If there's two sister missionaries, you would need a woman there. Right. Okay. So I mean, that's number one, for their safety, but also for like liability of like accusations. Like you need witnesses, I guess, and also just like any danger of essay on either end of that situation. That's one of my favorite things about the mission experience is how many rules there are, and then thinking of what happened to a missionary, or what did a missionary do to require this specific rule, and like, because we can go over some of those rules, and well, might as well go over them. My favorite rules that it states in the missionary handbook are: number 1, companions must sleep in the same room, but not in the same bed. It says that specifically. I always got a kick out of that. We were required, on my mission, we were required to study the missionary handbook, which is like a little white handbook that you carry in your pocket, every couple of days. Like, you were supposed to read it. So like, you're aware of all the rules and what you're supposed to do. That was number 1. Another rule was, if you were in a car area and you had a car, your companion had to stand behind the vehicle and direct you out. And you couldn't just like reverse and look behind you.
What?
And it's ridiculous, but from a financial liability perspective, you've got 19-year-old boys driving your cars, and they're going to hit the bumper. And the one time that me and my companion didn't do that, we hit like a pole or something like that. So it's like, God damn it. Like, so those rules, what are another rule? Oh yeah, you can't have kids sit on your lap ever. Lots of really weird rules where you're like, oof, yeah, this is
no holding babies either.
Yourself.
Not allowed to hold a baby.
Yeah, that one I hated.
Go swimming. Not allowed to light candles. Not allowed to go horseback riding. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
What?
Most
horseback
of them.
Riding?
See, this is the funny thing, because most of them are just liability. It's like, they don't want you to go horseback riding so you don't fall off and get injured, because they're liable for you, because you're basically working for the organization. They don't want you swimming because they don't want you to drown.
Every time you guys tell me another fact about Mormonism, I'm like, what? I'm like blown away. Like,
but the fun part is where the either the missionaries or the religion fills in the reason for supernatural reasons and not like practical liability
swimming.
Reasons. So the water one is wild in retrospect to me, which is like, you can't swim while you're on a mission, because we're told, or I was taught at least, that Satan dwells on the waters, and so you're not safe in water, because you got a target on your back because you're a missionary of the Lord. So Satan will have control over you if you're in the water. Yes. Reality is, it's just liability. They don't want missionaries to drown. They don't have any mechanism to make sure that they can swim, so they just don't allow it.
Bryce,
and
you
also,
just said it.
It's bad because you're going to be in a swimsuit. They don't want missionaries scantily clothed in public.
Well, if you wear a swimsuit, don't you have to wear your garments?
No.
There's the 3 S's for the garments. You have to wear the garments at all times unless you are swimming.
In the shower. Or
having sex.
Yeah. Having sex.
What about sleeping? You have to wear them
you
when
wear
you're
them while you
sleeping?
sleep.
Yeah, you wear them while you sleep. Yeah.
Huh.
But then there's like the mostly joking people that are like, say, oh yeah, if you really want to be obedient, you wear your garments during sex. You just put your penis through the hole in the garments, which is as ridiculous as soaking to me. Like, that's
pretty bad.
Urban legend. Bad. Yeah. All right, God damn it, this movie. We're never going to get through this fucking
Bryce,
movie because I just want to talk.
It's your fault.
I just want to state for the record that mine come off.
See, this is why I enjoyed the movie so much, because it taps into my brain of like, explain this stuff. Okay, someone else talk. Someone lead us through the next point.
Jordyn
movie
and Sydney look
ramble.
bored. Can you guys talk about the movie for a little bit so that we can take a break? Because we're just gonna keep going.
We're mansplaining the movie to you and Mormonism.
Yeah, thank you. I could run through hit some points. So they're like in this house with Hugh Grant. His wife is up.
Is that real quick, not to interrupt you, Sydney,
No,
but
go
is
for
that
it.
one of those examples of like they don't give a shit, they're in there giving a lesson and they're focused on that? Because I thought they just like passed over that. They're like, oh yeah, that's fine.
I wouldn't know
it was
what the heck he's
weird.
talking about. If he said, oh, by the way, there's metal in the walls and ceilings, I'd be like, okay. That's an interesting way to build a house.
If you think you're in a conversation, if someone said that to you, like, you would just breeze past it. You'd be like, did I hear that right? Or
I would
like,
say why,
whatever he said,
I
I'm just
think.
going to assume. Yeah. I mean,
I'd be like,
it's
strong walls. That's sick.
Really protected.
Also, if I saw the blueberry pie candle, this is how dumb I am. If I turned that over and I saw that, I'd be like, yo, double blueberry smell in the house. we got a blueberry pie in the oven and a blueberry pie candle. This is sweet.
Well, it
was
is
so,
interesting. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead. No shit, you.
Oh, it is interesting that there was a blueberry pie later. I was like, wait, so why did he even have the candle if he did make a blueberry pie? Like, I thought that was also weird. Like, what?
It was store-bought.
You know, that's a really good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Like, there was a blueberry pie.
He did bake a blueberry, and he had to have baked it because he put fucking poison in it, so he had to have made it. I don't know.
True. Well, it served as a good, like, that was Sophie Thatcher realizing and telling the audience, like, there's something insidious happening here. Like, they turn around that candle and it's like blueberry pie, and you're like, oh shit. I also like how they were talking about the, like, ranking the fast food places.
It's funny.
It was so good. It was so quick. And I don't know. I really loved, what's that actress's name? The one that was alongside Sophie.
She was
'Cause
so
she
good.
was good. She was
really
very
good.
Chloe East.
Is she in anything else? Because I thought she was just
She was
great.
in The Fabelmans, Generation, a TV series.
The Fabelmans is one of the best movies of recent years. I stand by that. Very good movie.
Yeah.
I also want to say
But
one
I
of
liked
the.
how they.
We keep talking over each other, Jordyn. It's fine.
I think it's
It's the
connection.
lag.
I really
Yeah.
Yeah. Jordyn, you go.
Yeah.
I think it's oh, I was gonna say the when they're talking about the fast food and just really quickly, like the Taco Bell, they mentioned Taco Bell and they're like, oh, we don't talk about Taco Bell, like really quickly. And so that made me think, okay, have these two spent a lot of time with one another, like to be on the same page with the trauma that Sophie apparently experienced? Like, how long do y'all Mormons serve a mission? And is it the same partner always? Like, I just want to understand their familiarity with one another too.
Because Sophie, that's a good question.
Yeah,
Because
this-
Sophie Thatcher came from the East Coast and like recently moved to wherever they are, like Utah. She recently moved to Utah. So I thought that was interesting that they have like this like friend backstory lore about Taco Bell where it's like, wait, it just doesn't seem like these girls have known each other for very long. So that's a good question.
Yeah. This part, there's a couple things that are very accurate with this. Number one, they would totally have that discussion about fast food. Like, Like, it's just like a total like young person thing to discuss, and something innocuous that you would discuss with your companion. The other thing that was very accurate was like, there's a thing where most missionaries are from Utah. And so it's like, you kind of roll your eyes when someone's like, yeah, I'm from Ogden or whatever. And I had a mission companion that was from Utah, but he made it a point to say he was from Virginia because that's where he grew up. Like, he just really wanted to be known that, like, I'm not one of them Utah ones.
Yeah, that's a big thing. There was one on my mission who was born in Brazil and moved to Utah when he was 1 year old. And he would always tell people he's from Brazil. And I'm like, no, you're not. You're from Utah. You lived your whole life in Utah. Stop doing that.
Yeah. But in terms of your question to like how long you spend with a companion, you can spend a good amount with a companion. You get shuffled around a lot, so you get assigned to new areas and new companions. But usually, I don't know, Max, it was probably like 3-ish months.
It's like 3 to 6 months, but usually closer to 3.
Yeah.
Are you trauma bonded with your mission partners? Because it feels like they, like, outside of getting locked in a house that is, you know, full of horrors,
right.
But like the bullying, the ridicule, the pranks, like the harassment, like, are you all friends with people that you went on missions with still?
It's a really unique thing because you have no choice of who you're stuck with. And so there are some companions that you really like and get along with really well. And there are some companions that you do not like that are really weird and you don't gel with. And that's part of the trauma is like having a shitty companion sometimes. And you're like, God damn it, why do I have to be with this guy?
There's like nothing worse than going, so they're called transfers. You do like a transfer and then they reevaluate and see if they're going to move you, and then you do another transfer. I think there's 6 weeks. And there's nothing usually worse than when you have a companion you hate and you get the call on transfer day and they're like, yeah, we're going to keep you there another 6 weeks. Devastating.
Yeah.
My God. Or having someone that you really gel with and you're like, yes, this is going to be great. Like,
right.
And then you find out you're with someone else. Oh, I'd be pissed.
Yeah. No. And then in answer to like, if you keep in contact with them, I never really reached out to any of my past companions. I think there was one that I really wanted to, and I couldn't, like, it was hard to find them on Facebook. Like, we have their addresses. I mean, well, I did back in the day. Like, I went in 2002 to 2004, so technology was different.
Old man.
I did meet with one of the missionaries in one of my districts before, because I was in Utah and just had lunch with him before, but no, a lot of fond memories of mission companions, because like it's wild because you're spending more time with this person. Like, you realize, like, after one transfer, you spent 6 weeks 24/7 with one person.
Yeah,
like you're
married now.
Yeah, you're basically experiencing marriage, but it's worse than marriage because you don't go to work separate. I would have to live, 3 months with my wife after we got married to match the time that I spent with one of my companions, kind of thing. It's so
pure hell.
Yeah, it's
not spending time with your spouse, but like
right.
spending time with someone that's not your spouse that much.
So yeah, they find out that they're being trapped, and this is where like the true terror. Like, I thought this was really well done, because how terrifying would that be as 2 young women being locked into a house with a guy that you realize you don't know anything about, and as it progresses, it's like, yes, we're going to be either sexually assaulted or murdered. Like, that's just the assumption of like how scary this is. And I think that really works well as a setting for dread and terror. You didn't find this scary at all, Sydney? Like that, like you couldn't put yourself in the place of these two young women and be like, I'm trapped with this scary man?
In what world would I be in this situation? It's just not, it would not happen to me. It would not, I would not go to someone's door.
Well,
and be
hold
like,
on, Sydney.
Can I teach you the word of God? No, I wouldn't do that. Or whatever you guys say.
Sydney, you have been in this situation. Remember that one time you and your friend went home with those guys and they were getting in the pool and started playing music and you realized that there was no... Right. There was nothing in the house. There was no cups, no bowls, no nothing.
No, they didn't know where anything was
and
in
no
the
way
house.
of escape.
And, well, we did escape.
Oh, yeah, that was it. They didn't know where the cups were.
They didn't know where the water was. I was like, the sink? Like, I don't, yeah, that was scary. But you know what? I don't know. Like, we got out of there. I don't know. We got out. We didn't get killed. Oh, that was so long ago. Wow, that's so funny. No, I didn't, it's not like it wasn't like scary, but I wasn't scared watching it. I thought he was just a phony. Like, I was like, if some motherfucker trapped me in his house and he was like, go through the door of belief or disbelief, I'd be like, what kind of game are you running right now, dude? Like, I don't give a fuck about your like philosophy right now. Like, this is like so stupid. You're gonna make me like think about theory and shit while you're trying to basically kill me. So what? I don't care. Like, I'd be so mad. I'd be so mad if I was there. I was like, if you're gonna kill me, just do it. Like, just let's Leatherface it up. Like, I don't want to fucking play this game. Like, why do you have a fucking temple in your house? Yeah, like what? It was just all so, and I know it's not accurate. I know that shit is not going to happen, but like, and then it just goes totally off the rails when he's like, I know the true religion and I can resurrect people. Like, and then he doesn't even do it. It's all like a magic trick. It's like, dog, what the hell are you running here? Like, why is there a scary woman who's on the brink of death? You're swapping bodies. Like, the fuck is this about? Like, I don't know. I just thought it was too ridiculous.
Should we go through like and explain kind of what happens? Do you guys do that or?
Yeah, we can go through quickly. So basically,
yes,
they find out that the front door is locked and they realize that this guy does not have a wife, and because there's no blueberry pie, and he like disappears behind a dark hallway, and they're like, I don't want to follow him down a dark hallway to be, question mark. But eventually they do, because they don't have a choice. They try like every avenue that you would, making a call, like trying to go through the window, like all these things. And so they eventually follow him, and he's got this like kind of faux chapel set up in the back. And then he starts like kind of preaching to them about why their religion is bullshit, and telling an analogy of like basically each successive religion being a ripoff of the previous, or being like a iteration of past mythologies.
And that's what my freshman year teacher did to us. And it was rapid fire like that too. The same way he was doing it, like just planting these seeds of doubt and discontent.
Yeah. It's interesting. I listened to an interview with Hugh Grant. I think it was on NPR. But he talked about, he has like kind of a character Bible that he wrote for himself. And his backstory that isn't covered in the movie is that he was a professor of theology previously. So yeah, it's very professorial in his delivery. And this part to me was interesting because it's like, yeah, this is, preach, brother. Because it is very interesting, but it is very preachy. It's very heavy-handed and an exposition dump. And then also he's throwing some strays to Radiohead, which, granted is deserved.
Bryce off.
They did have a settlement for that song. Personally, I have opinions about copyright around music, but
I'm a weirdo.
true. The bridge, they did take that from the Hollies and the chord progression, but
And then
songs share chord progressions, people.
There are only so many
Right.
chord progressions that we can make. Like,
Right. So anyways, he dumps all this stuff and then basically is gaslighting him, telling him, like, you're not in danger. Like, you can leave at any time. Like, but the through line for the movie that I found interesting, that I think they did pretty well, is that Mr. Reed is fucking with them on purpose. So
Yes.
everything that he says is either a lie or challenging them to believe and using their like desire to believe him to work against them. And that's really interesting because the fact that
it was too heavy-handed in the way that it was doing it. I was like, I get it. Like, I was like, the blueberry pie thing, I was like, okay. And then it just kept going and he keeps fucking with them. And Sophie Thatcher is like really playing into it. Like, so much so that he kills her because she's being annoying. Like, she's like, she's doing too much. And he's like, all right, like that's enough. I'm just fucking with you guys. Like, ugh, now you're going to die. Like, maybe you'll come back to life.
No, I think the most interesting part is that's like the most telling about the tone of the movie is that they're back. They've discovered that they're locked in and they're asking to leave. And Mr. Reed makes it a point to say, like, because they ask him, like, where is your wife? Like, show your wife. And he's like, oh, she's just behind this door. And then they talk a little more. And then he's like, the question is, do you believe that she's behind this door? Like, do you, like that's the point, is like to lead them on and give them a reason to still sustain their belief that maybe he's telling the truth. And like that point where he's like, do you really think I have a wife? Like, cause he never answers them directly, whether he has a wife or not, or I think he eventually does, but like,
I think he has many wives.
He does that. And then eventually a woman appears and you're like, oh, maybe this is his wife.
Yeah, the scariest fucking thing you've ever seen in your life appears, and he's like, and they're like, "Hello, are you Mrs. Reed?" It's like, I think that's a skeleton with a veil on. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? I do want to say that,
but even like the stuff where, sorry, pardon me, even the stuff where like he opens the doors and is like, you can leave at any time. Just go open these doors, and they open the door and it's a stairway down into darkness. And then even at that point, he's like, guys, you've seen the house. It's on a hill. You can walk down the stairs because the exit is lower because you're going down a hill. Like he's still fucking with them when they're looking down a deep, dark
but I would just be like,
hole.
Oh, of course. It was on a hill. How did I forget? Of course I have to go down these stairs.
Right.
They should have killed him so much like earlier. I would have killed him so fast. And you know how the door is on like a timer and he says, I can't shut it off. But like, obviously that's not true because he does when Topher Grace shows up. Can we talk about that? Topher Grace is in this fucking movie. Like that was so random. Yeah. But
that was, for me, that was the most unrealistic part of the movie.
Mm-hmm. Anyways, go ahead, Sydney. Finish your thought.
Pardon,
sorry,
Sydney,
glitched for a second. But like they set it up that this door is on a timer and it's behind like a light switch. They never, the girls don't use that. They don't ever find that. They don't ever, like, it doesn't, like, that just didn't make sense to me. I was like, okay, you have like this letter opener really soon into the movie where you can kill him at any time. And I know that Sophie Thatcher does get killed before, like, she can say the magic word to get the other girl to kill him. But like, why didn't she just kill him right then? Like, right after Sophie Thatcher gets stabbed, why didn't you just fucking run your, like, run the fade, get him the fuck out of here, and then you go find the timer and get out. Like, I don't get it. Like, it just doesn't, like, I understand horror movie logic. I get it. We watch horror movies every week, and we've been doing it forever, and I've also just, whatever. But, like, it's just the suspension of disbelief of them not getting the fuck out of there as soon as possible and keep going in the basement and go into the other basement and keep listening to this guy. Please, girls, why would you go in that basement? Why? In what world?
Well, in their defense, they didn't have a choice but to go in the basement, honestly. And then in terms of like killing him after he slashed Sophie, what's her name?
Wait, we're skipping a lot. Do we need to talk about how that lady comes in the shroud? It was very like Dementor. It reminded me of that. And lays down on the ground and then eats a pie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she prays to Creep by Radiohead. She prays to Creep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She prays with her hands
back
here.
Very
I don't know how to do that.
She's prostrated.
Yeah. Very skinny, bony.
Mm-hmm.
Eats the pie. And then that's where he is kind of like expanding upon how he found the one true religion. And at that point, you still don't really know what the fuck he's talking about.
Yeah. So he says that she's a prophet and that he's going to like basically demonstrate a miracle. And so he brings down the blueberry pie and has her eat it, and she immediately dies. And he has them test her pulse, and then eventually she lives again and comes back with a quote unquote prophecy for them. And then he's like comes down and wants to make notes of like, what did you experience? Like, what just happened? You tell me. And which is really interesting because it's like it goes to a lot of different points of like, how bad is memory? How bad is your personal perspective of what happened in a situation? And I thought they did a really good job of breaking it down, especially with Sister Barnes being a skeptic and being like, well, wait a minute. Like, we didn't see the person switched out. Like, there's a lot of stuff we didn't see, and it could... the fact that she jumped to, like, it's a magic trick immediately was, like, I give it more credit than most movies would give it. They'd probably have the person believe or, like, be mystified by what they just witnessed more than just have someone say, obviously, this is a sleight of hand trick. Like, it's very easy to do this as a magician, you know, but within that realm, it's a good commentary on, you know, historic miracles or like the truth claims of religion on what happened and what was witnessed by people. So that happens.
The prophet does come back to life. And then like they're basically directly challenging him at this point. And he has enough of Sister Barnes, and because they're planning on attacking him because they slipped out the letter opener. And so they have something to stab him with, and they basically say, when I say the code word, you stab him in the throat. And just as they're about to do that, Hugh Grant slashes Sister Barnes' throat, which is a bummer because they're like, okay, I actually like Sister Barnes as like the character. I assumed she was going to be the final girl. And I have a theory about this because I think originally it was written to be Sister Barnes as the final girl, and they didn't switch any of the dialogue.
Yeah.
Because one of the big plot holes for me is Sister Paxton, like, turns on a dime with her character. She goes from being like this demure, ingratiating, awkward immature person to all of a sudden taking up the role of directly challenging and being kind of an action hero almost immediately after Sister Barnes is murdered.
She's not just challenging, she's right.
I do want to talk about that aspect of it because, it does seem like she turns on a dime. But I think that in as growing up and in the world as a woman and a former young girl, I think that when you are trying to survive, it is so smart to play dumb and to play into what someone is saying. And that's what she did the entire time. She was like, I am going to appease this man. And her friend was the one that was challenging him. Then her friend dies and she's like, okay, I'm obviously getting nowhere by being nice. So I need to start doing what Sister Barnes was doing, but I need to do it in a way that's going to please him. So I think she just got smarter. I think she was smart the entire time. And then she just was like, okay, I'm the only one left. I have no one who is going to challenge him. I have no one, I need to, obviously what I'm doing isn't working. This guy needs some kind of intellectual conversation, whatever. I'm going to figure out what the fuck is going on here. And I'm going to get the best of him. And so I don't think she really switches on a dime. I think it's just very accurate, women's survival instincts in horrible situations. I don't know.
That coupled with Sophie telling her, challenge him. She told her that before Sister Barnes actually passed away. She was saying to challenge him. That's the way they're going to get out.
It is an interesting interplay because I think, it is a really good question of if you're in the situation, what is the best action to take? And I think women, there's kind of a problem. And I think some predators prey on this impulse to be nice, to not challenge or to play along, to stay safe. And I think there's a real case to be made by immediately calling out that you're uncomfortable and this is awkward. And what are you doing? What was that? Did you say there was metal in the walls and the ceiling? That's weird. Why did you say that? If they had done that early on, they would discover how awkward this was early on. But this trained social rules of deferring to other people to be nice and not make it awkward for them is dangerous. And that's one of the things that this movie explores. Same with Speak No Evil. That's kind of the moral to that story as well.
Well, similar, someone I knew from my past reached out this week and we were talking about the election and different anxieties and health anxiety. And then all of a sudden he's making a referral to some alternative medicine doctor. And so I'm looking up the LinkedIn and I see this person's a territory manager for something. And I'm like, you just came back into my DMs using current events to basically just try to sell me. That's fucking gross. And he was like, you need to look for the good in people. And all this massive novel of, how I was wrong. And I also said, I know you're going to tell yourself that you care and what you're doing is good because you care so much. And, this will help me, but it's fucking gross. And
but Jordyn, the snake oil. You need it.
Oh, but I was the one who said, this feels like an MLM. And the freak out that came back, I think he was put off by me not being oh no thanks. It was very much actually you're a shitty person for this. Don't be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, being nice, honestly, being nice has gotten me into situations where I have felt unsafe just because I didn't want to be an asshole. Because, you know, if you, as a woman, if you are an asshole right off the bat, you're going to be called all these, there's a whole shit list of stuff that will happen. So, I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice. Oh, now I'm fucking scared. Oh my God. What now? Now I need to get my home girls to make, you know, it's, yeah.
Did you guys watch the Woman of the Hour, Anna Kendrick's movie on Netflix?
Oh, no. Wait, yes, I did. No, that was very good. Yes, similar vibes.
Yeah. It's basically about the dating game serial killer. So, was it Richard Alcala or something like that? Was actually on the dating game and won. And he was a serial killer. And so it has a lot of moments of like him being charming and leading on these women that he's targeted and then it turning bad. And it's a very interesting interplay. I'd recommend that.
I'm so glad that I'm a man and can be nice and safe at the same time.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
I do want to switch. I do want to switch this for a second. I want to talk about one of the funny lines in this movie that I laughed really hard. It's when they're still in the living room on the couch, and he's like, "With great power comes great responsibility." And Sister Paxton goes, "Spider-Man," and he goes, "Voltaire," and she goes, "Right."
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, some of the dialogue is pretty on point. Like the part where he's talking, he directly like challenges them in the living room before like all this stuff happens about polygamy, because like it's his basically first question is like, what are your thoughts on polygamy? And Sister Barnes gives kind of the party line answer of like, it's kind of what I was taught when I was growing up, which is like, it was situational. They needed to have more Mormon babies, and then eventually they'd had enough, and so they stopped doing that, which is kind of a
Sister
wild
Paxton,
explanation.
It's
Yeah. What was her line? It was like something like,
it was funny though.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
Pretty sketch. What did she say?
She said it's pretty sketch.
It's pretty sketch, which is like a pretty. That scene with their reactions was on point. Like I could see Sister Paxton disassociating and being like, I don't want to answer this question again.
Are you ready for me to give my quick defense of polygamy?
Okay, give the party line, Max.
I would not be born if it were not for polygamy, because polygamy is in my family line. I come from a second wife.
Right.
So
really,
you would not have Mr. Max Boyo Wonder Boy on the show if it were not for men having multiple wives.
Yeah.
Your dad had 2 wives?
My dad? No, not my dad. Like my great grandfather.
Oh, I don't know what you meant by that.
Yeah, I watch Big Love. I'm over here like, well, there you have it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It explains a lot, Max. No.
Hey, Bill
my
Paxton,
mom is my dad's only wife.
Yeah, I also have ancestry that has one of my ancestors is an apostle of the church, Mariner Wood Merrill. No? Okay. Anyways, like, yeah, we have polygamists as Mormons. It's definitely in our history. It's a thing.
But some good old fashioned cheating. Of like, what the fuck?
Yeah. His
like my grandfather's
his like challenging
old.
of it. Right. His challenging of it with like bringing up specifically Fanny Alger, which is an interesting, Wikipedia article that you might want to check out, is like, yeah, there's. I don't know. To me, as a non-believing member now, it's like, yes, it was Joseph Smith, like trying to figure out how to deal with some extramarital affairs and giving an excuse for a believing person. don't know. I still think it's probably pretty hard to get around the fact that his first plural wife was like a 14-year-old girl that was their nanny, basically.
Cool. Love that. Loving that. Really.
And then, I mean, when I was growing up, like, it was never taught that Joseph Smith was polygamous. Like, that was, to me, growing up, it was like, oh, that kind of started with Brigham Young, or that started after the revelation that Joseph Smith had, but he never really participated in it. And now, like, I mean, the historical record shows that he had a lot of extra wives. Anyways, so
I do want to say I saw this really funny Letterboxd review that said, I know this is supposed to be a horror film, but this is an atheist's normal reaction to having 2 Mormons knock on their front door.
Right.
Truly, yeah. That's why it was so believable to me, because it's like, have you ever talked to an atheist? Like, insufferable. And I am one. Like, same with leftists. Like, it's just these smart people. I'm like, in my head, I was like, okay, Hugh Grant's character is absolutely a liberal. Like, no self-reflection here at all. Just like, insufferable.
Fuck the woke mob. That's what we say.
Okay, so he kept talking about like how he had that was interesting to me, because it was almost like a God complex of how he actually had all the secrets. Like, I can show you the one true religion, which really just drove me nuts. I'm moving the plot along here. So he said, I can show you God if you're willing to give something. Okay.
Give your life. Yeah, there's a point where he basically says, like, you just witnessed that this person died and was resurrected, like, and she came back with knowledge of God. So if you really want to know God, just kill yourself, and then I can make sure you come back. Amazing
rules. Sounds
it's kind
good,
of a dope
man.
plan, to be honest.
I'll do it. Fuck it. Whatever. Sounds great.
And so he says, don't go into that cellar unless you are prepared to discover the true religion. And then they get down there, or no, excuse me, Sister Paxton gets down there. And
they get down there and they see jeans. And they're like,
it turns out,
I love these jeans. True religion, so nice.
It turns out that Hugh Grant's character was actually conservative because he had a bunch of women in cages.
Democrats do that too.
They were immigrants.
Yeah.
No? Okay.
Joe Biden and Donald Trump like both have done those things. So, what do we know?
Yep.
I'd like to go
you know how,
on a limb here and say that I'm against women in cages.
We are all.
Are we? Just wanted to make sure. I didn't know. I mean, I'm standing up and saying it. You guys were kind of tiptoeing around it, but I'm against people in cages in general.
I think it's pretty bold. I think it's pretty bold to say all women don't deserve to be in cages. I think
we should put me in a
Bryce,
cage.
too far. Not this week. Read the room, buddy.
It's like when you say believe all women. I mean, all women?
Stop it.
All women don't deserve to be in cages? I mean,
knock it off.
If I was put in a cage, I might be better. I might be a better person. I don't know.
They're eating the dogs. The people that came in, they're eating the cats.
Yeah, what if the women are eating the dogs and the cats, Jordyn?
It's not
They don't
happening.
deserve to be in cages?
It's not
Jordyn,
happening.
how many dogs have you eaten?
Right.
Never in my life. Okay, so
She's eating
Never?
the pets.
Never. Paxton's in the basement. She's challenging Hugh Grant's character. Mr. Reed. Also, sidebar, did anyone else constantly think of Liar Liar with the lady in his office that's like, hi, Mr. Reed, and she has like the little buns on her head? You know what I'm talking about?
No one was thinking that, but
Damn
proceed.
it. Okay, well, moving on.
I did appreciate the humor of Sister Paxton of like, Mr. Reed.
Yeah.
Like, that is such a Mormon missionary pun that you would say? Like, okay, anyways, going back.
So she gets down there. There's a dead body. It turns out there was like a magic trick. It was an illusion. Like, he doesn't really have the power. He's just kind of a psychopath. And the true religion is control. It's control. It's easier to control someone who has lost everything. And so I think he was trying to help, like, let them lose their faith. Let them kill themselves. Then also, yeah.
That's an interesting way to frame it. He was just trying to help them lose their faith and kill themselves. Like,
No. He was.
Jordan's on the side of Mr. Reed. Like,
No,
this all
no.
makes sense to Jordan.
Atheists are the same.
He was being helpful.
No. He was crazy. He was insane. But in his own head, that's what he was telling himself, I think, as a professor of theology. A skeptic. Like, he was trying to get them to use their own beliefs to control them, to get them to do what he wanted them to do, which was obviously very insidious and evil. Thoughts?
I also, I around this time, like a little bit later, I guess, in the movie, Sister Paxton gets stabbed, which was a jump scare. I was not expecting that. She gets stabbed, and fucking Sophie Thatcher comes back to life. And when she came back to life, some guy in the come on, so funny. It was so fucking funny. Everyone fucking laughed in the theater. That was the only time I heard everyone laugh because it was so ridiculous. It was like he literally went, "Come on," and I was like, "You're saying what we're all thinking," but I don't think there was a single person in the movie theater that like it was a resounding silence at the end. Everyone was just like kind of got their shit and left. Like it was not well received. It was ridiculous that she came back to life. The whole ending is absolutely ridiculous. The whole I didn't like this movie at all. I did not like it.
Here's why I appreciate it on a meta level. It's like, of course you have to have the ending be a Deus Ex Machina. Like, that's the perfect ending for this movie. Is like, yeah. Basically God steps in and stops it from happening. The end. Yay, everything's good. Like it's
Do
literally, you guys know what a Deus Ex Machina is?
Yes, of course I do.
No.
What?
Yeah, so basically the phrase Deus Ex Machina basically means like,
oh yeah,
if the ending of a story seems very arbitrary and ends it outside the rules of the story itself, basically. And the history of it is like there is this Greek play where literally this machine representing God appears on stage and resolves the play, basically. So it's used, Deus Ex Machina is referring to that ancient play. So, all right. I wanted to sound smart, and I stand by my observation, and I used Latin or whatever. So, fuck you guys.
One other thing that stuck out about the end, though, is when he is like crawling to her to try to kill her, and he's like making fun of her for praying and like asking her why, and she says it's just nice to think about someone other than yourself.
Right.
That stood out to me too.
Yeah. No, I think it's like it was respectful for both sides of like, yes, the skeptic and the people that choose to believe, and it felt like it was they felt like a real character because the deal with like being a devout religious person like Sister Paxton, you're still living within reality and you still navigate your own doubt. And part of it is like, even if I'm wrong, is it that bad to think of other people and to do this thing that like helps me not think of just myself? Which is it drives me up the wall when like people use sarcastically like, oh, thoughts and prayers, like it's doing nothing. You're just being an asshole. It's like, what's wrong with thinking about other people and like trying to send out good vibes in whatever way you're doing? It's like, why would you tear that down? So.
Oh yeah, that's what he's talking about. The great prayer experiment. He asked her if she's familiar, and she's like, "Yeah, it was definitive. Like, it was scientifically proven that prayer actually doesn't work, but it's still nice to think about someone other than yourself."
Yeah. So anyways, let me see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. Oh, last thing, Max, you mentioned it, like the other, in terms of like accuracy, Topher Grace as Elder Kennedy.
Oh, just some random 40-year-old man by himself who is in charge of making sure all the sisters get home. Like, this person doesn't exist.
Yeah, it doesn't exist. If he was a missionary, he would have a companion. Even like the older missionaries have companions, usually their spouse. The other thing that was very true, Topher Grace cleaning the church himself, accurate. Members clean the church. They don't hire anyone to do that shit, which bothered me to no end. It's like, you're a multi-billion-dollar church. Just hire someone to clean your church for you.
Yeah, they're all about liability. That thing's run like a business. You were talking about the rules and them being tied to liabilities. Like, there are spreadsheets here, Bryce.
Yep. Anyways, this episode is going pretty long. Maybe we'll save the mission stories for the afterpod.
Come on. No way.
Okay, let's share our
one
best.
Each.
One each. Okay. So I gave you a couple brainstorms. Which one? Give us like the genre of mission story before you start telling it.
This involves death and feelings of unsafety.
Okay.
So
Trigger warning.
One day I was walking in the rain with my companion in a trailer park, and we were just knocking doors and no one was answering the door. And then this guy who was under his little patio porch thing, he's like, "Elders, come here, come here." And so we walk over and there's two guys sitting there and they're like smoking cigarettes and drinking some beers. And one of the guys like, "Oh, I've talked to you guys before. You guys should come sit down and wait the rain out." So we sat under his porch and talked to him for a little while. And this other guy starts trauma dumping on us. And he's like saying, "I went to jail. I was in jail for X amount of years because I killed a man." And we were like, "Oh, wow, that sounds interesting." And he's like, "Yeah, he raped my sister, and so I stabbed him in the neck, and I liked it." And so we were like, "Wow, that is very a wild story." Anyways, we eventually left because we were kind of getting the creeps from this guy. He was very intense. But the other guy said that we could. The other guy gave us his number, and we gave him ours. And so a few days later, we wake up to a voicemail that was left at like 2 a.m. that was like, "Elders, I need you. I need you. Come here. Even Jesus went out in the night. Please." But we didn't obviously get that until the morning. And so we called him and we're like, "Hey, we're not going to come in the middle of the night, but we can like set up an appointment for later." So we set up an appointment for a few days later, and we show up to his house and we knock on the door and no one answers. And his neighbor comes out and says, "Hey, are you looking for this person?" And we were like, "Yeah." And he says, "Yeah, he died." And we were like, "Oh, and we knew he had cancer." And so we were like, "Was it the cancer? Did the cancer get him?" And he says, "Nope, he choked on food."
Max, you should have went over there at 2
I know.
a.m. What the fuck?
You could have saved him.
Jesus left him, and you just left him hanging.
Died.
That's crazy. What the fuck?
Wow, that's wild. Okay,
Bryce, how are you gonna follow that?
I can't remember how many of these stories I've told, but I'll give you a choice, and then I could probably share the rest on the afterpod. I've got 2 death stories. I've got one story where it's similar to this movie, where it's like a guy kind of entrapping us, not like physically, but argumentatively. What's another one? Oh, my least favorite tracting experience, going door to door. Those are the ones that come to mind. I'll give you a choice.
I want the death.
I want the death too.
I have 3 death stories
Jesus
on my
Christ.
mission. I have 3. I'll just tell them all. I'll tell them all in quick succession. Okay. So the first death story was part of our mission was we do a certain amount of volunteer work. And so like in your area, you volunteer for an organization or a place. And this was kind of a unique volunteer area because we had a hospital just right across the street from our apartment. So we volunteered at the hospital and we got to work in the materials department, which was my favorite volunteer work because it was literally just a job. We just counted or gathered up saline bags and moved them around the hospital, which is pretty great. Anyway, so we were frequently at that hospital. And as we were walking out of the hospital, being done with our work, this lady came up to us, not frantically, but urgently. And she's like, "Oh, I'm so glad you elders are here. I just, it would really make me feel better. My son," I believe it was her son, "my son just went into surgery and I'm really nervous about it. Could you guys pray for him?" And we're like, "Oh yeah, absolutely. Like we'll pray for you." And I think we gave her our number or something because later she called and was like, "Elders, we need you to come over. Like stuff hasn't gone well and we need you to give him a blessing," which is like an ordinance, laying on of hands basically. And so we go to the hospital again, right across the street so we can get there quickly. And we go in and we're let back into the ICU and the guy is coding and they're like giving him, they're giving him chest compressions while we're there. And no. Sorry. I'm getting it wrong. We go in. Hold on. Let me think. How's it go? No, this is right. We're let in. They're like giving chest compressions and we're like, this is not a time to do the laying on hands. So we were just standing in the corner awkwardly and praying. And then they led us back into the waiting room, which was completely filled with his family members weeping and wailing. It was like, it was like so sad and so terrifying.
How old were you?
I was an old missionary. I was 21. I went out late. My companion, I'm sure, was 19 or 20. So, yeah, that was wild. He ended up dying.
That's trauma. That's trauma.
Yeah. It was traumatic. I think about it all the time. What's even more ironic or traumatizing for me is that the surgery was a bariatric surgery. It was a bypass surgery so he could lose weight, and he died because of it. So
that's how my grandpa died.
Yeah, I'm not interested in getting bariatric surgery. No. That's half of the reason. No. Yeah. Okay, that's death story number 1. That was the first one that happened. Death story number 2 is we had an investigator, so someone that was interested in learning about the church, and he was kind of a troubled guy. He had substance abuse issues, but he was trying to get back on track, and he was very interested, very curious about religion and getting back on track. Nice guy. And then one day he called us up and was like, hey, quick question. If you commit suicide, do you go to hell? And I was like, don't say that. Like I was young. I didn't know how to handle this. Like, but my impulse was like, don't talk like that. Like, it'll be okay. We don't know. Like, I'm not going to be able to answer your question if, like, you know, you commit suicide, if you're going to go to hell. Or I was probably doing the dumb thing of like getting into theology and being like, well, actually, we don't really believe in hell per se. And so not very helpful. But also I thought he was being like, I think that was the thing. He had started drinking and he felt really bad about getting back into his bad habits and whatnot. And we said, like, we'll come again. This was late at night again. And I said, we'll come over in the morning, or like, we'll get back to you or something like that. And then I think the next day or like a day or two later, we got a call from his sister and he had committed suicide. Like so we went to his funeral. Like, it was also very, very sad. Third and final death story was, we had a service project for a member of the ward that we were re-roofing his house, and he was a really nice guy, also another very, very obese guy, and had like mobility issues, but he was getting back on track, and he was like trying to take a more active role in life in general. Anyway, so we're like re-roofing his house, and it's just wild in retrospect. I was like, that's wild that I had no business being on a roof. Like,
I also roofed a house on my mission.
And it was really hot. It was like a 98 degree day or something, super humid Dallas weather. And I remember the whole, you know, work crew got there from the ward and were like, where's brother, whatever his name is, like, why isn't he here? And like, I don't know, we'll call him and stuff. And so we worked on, and I think we basically repaired his whole roof before we discovered that he was inside the house dead. Yeah, that he had died inside the house that we were repairing the roof of.
Awesome. Bryce, did you take all this as a sign? Like, I feel like that's a lot of death.
I mean, I'm a pretty morbid person, so it was like, it was a lot to process, but it was like, wow, this is wild. Especially that first one. That one was a lot.
Yeah, you could write a short story
but after three of them, I'm like, Jesus, what is going on? I don't think this many people had experienced like direct like experience with someone dying or committing suicide on your watch. And the other thing that I learned from that second story was like, if someone mentions suicide, take it seriously. And this is like a public service announcement. Drop everything. Go to them. Like, don't fuck around with that stuff. Because like, if someone mentions it or calls you about it, that is their last ditch effort to get someone to help them. And I didn't understand that at the time, and I learned my lesson. So, kids, if someone mentions suicide in passing to you, go and be with them and make sure that they don't commit suicide, because that's a giant regret that I have in my life.
Unless it's your abusive boyfriend saying he'll kill yourself if you leave him, because that's not true and he won't. So just leave him anyways, because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Retweet.
Bryce, did you...
Good call, Sydney.
Yeah. Did you ever have to call 911 on your mission?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, a few times we would just be knocking doors.
Also, we didn't have a phone. We didn't have a cell phone on my mission. Yeah.
No, we had iPhones. Or they weren't iPhones, but they were smartphones. Yeah, a few times we would be knocking doors, and we'd walk up to a door, and through the door we could hear like a woman being beaten, and we'd have to call 911. Like, It wouldn't happen every day, but it happened more often than you'd think it would.
Yikes. Yeah, I never experienced that. I never experienced like hearing terrible stuff. Mostly if I was knocking on doors, just no one was home. If you want to replicate the experience of being a Mormon missionary, just knock on your own door about, 500 times and have no one answer it. And then like every 100th time have someone answer it and be mean to you.
Yeah, that's pretty much knocking doors for politics in Missouri as someone who is not a Republican.
Right. Exactly.
Very similar.
Yeah.
Do you live in Missouri?
Unfortunately, for now. No, I'm kidding. Missouri's great. It's just...
You killed our guy.
Yeah, this is all your fault, Jordyn.
Wait. Which
Jordyn,
guy?
we put a curse on your state for many years.
What?
Is this a Simpsons reference? Because what did they say from The Simpsons? Like...
No, that's where Joseph Smith was killed.
Oh!
A mob of Missourians broke into the jail that was holding him and shot him.
Well... It's the show me state.
Yeah. Okay, let's go on to our final chapter of the episode. Horror movie horror.
We're doing horror movie horrors? I thought this was the end of the episode.
I did too. I gotta scoot.
We've got a couple. We've just got a couple. It's not that many. But I think in terms of finality, we have to cover a couple of these.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Hey,
I didn't listen to
guys.
it yet, but
I am just calling to... you can share this on the pod if you want or choose not to. But I am the creator of the fictional Ronald and his father. Hey, Sydney. But I just wanted to call because I think I took it too far. It was a joke. I just felt so bad. Look, one or more of those messages I may have been drunk for, and I did not remember even calling and placing. So when I saw them on the most recent episode and how freaked out Sydney was, I just wanted to leave this to at least let Sydney know that it was all a joke. And that I do think I took it too far in that last one, so I think it's kind of run its course, so there will be no more Ronald or Ronald's father. Because, yeah. I'm sorry, Sydney. I love the show. I love you guys. Keep it up. And, yeah. I guess that's about it. Thank you, guys.
End of an era. So, jig is up. It was a joke. Sydney, do you accept it as apology?
I acknowledge it.
Okay. I don't know if you've kept up on the Ronald lore, Jordyn.
Some of it, not all of it, though.
All right,
Ronald
next,
went to jail.
Frequent caller.
Hey, guys.
It's really...
I am just calling to...
Nope,
you
sorry.
can share this.
Oh.
Wrong one.
Hey, this is David Day. I used to, be on the show, and now I just own it. And I'm calling because this Ronald guy keeps calling, and I just want to say, Ronald, first of all, it's a difficult thing to do what you're trying to do with these calls. You're trying, we all know what you're trying to do, what you're going for, but you're kind of fucking lazy. You gotta have a script in your head of what you're gonna say before you call up. Like, have something in your goddamn head before you dial the number. It's not that hard. You have all the time in the world to get this shit written down, whatever you got to do in order to have this not be stream of consciousness bullshit, and tighten it up, buddy. You could be great. You could be great. But instead, you just blither on for you waste everybody's time. It's a fucking travesty because you got a cool concept, you got a good idea, and then you just fucking fumble on the fucking 2-yard line every second. It's unbelievable. So do better. I believe in you. You can do it. But your dad should have hit you a lot more. That was a little too far. But anyway, all right, everybody else, keep up the good work. Jesus, where my fucking phone go? Okay, bye.
Tighten it up, buddy.
Where'd my phone go while he's calling?
Yeah.
Oh, God. Good to hear from David.
Mm-hmm.
Brian from Canada. I got an idea for a new, younger name for female genitalia. It is the Skibbity Puss. Now, let me demonstrate. Yo, girl, what's up? Let me nail that Skibbity Puss, yo. Thanks, bye.
We
were trying
a little
Jordyn,
bit of context.
Yeah. Go ahead.
We're talking about the proper names for female genitalia, which technically is the vulva, if you're talking about stuff. And it's just not, I don't know, to me is not a great name. Like it's an awkward, and I was positing we should come up with a better name, like proper name for female genitalia. And Max and Sydney just are not trained in improv or yes and they just shot down that entire concept. So appreciate Brian for calling in and giving an attempt. Jordyn, do you have any ideas?
No.
Not Skibbity Puss. I think that's not good because I think the connotation to Skibbity is not good. So I think
you don't want to relate it to Skibbity Toilet,
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be celebratory. It should be magical. It should be a good thing. But vulva, either sounds like a Volvo, which is a sensible car, or like your Aunt Myrtle's cousin. Like it just doesn't seem right to me.
Vulva.
So continue calling in and giving us alternate names for female genitalia. Yeah. I think we can discover it.
It's either a medical term or it's inappropriate. We need a middle line.
Yeah.
What can I say to my wife during a romantic, passionate time? That's not like a medical term, but also isn't degrading. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just say I love you.
Right. I just pray. I just close my eyes and have sex through the garment holes. And, just only when we're trying to conceive. So, anyways, okay.
Hey guys, it's Gail from Louisiana again. I just heard my freaking voice on the podcast, and I about shit a brick. I just wanted to say I had a revelation when I heard my voice, right? David and Bryce used to talk all the time about needing more tits and dick in horror movies again, and it was like my tagline for why I listened to the podcast. I was like, yes, 100%. We need more tits and dick in horror movies. And the substance gave you that, okay? So I'm going to need everybody to revise their reviews, okay? 10 stars across the board. Incredible. Lots and lots and lots of tits, okay? Also, I'm not going to watch Possum. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I can't do it.
Hey.
It doesn't seem like the way to go for me personally. I did just watch Exuma, and I did not expect the amount of Korean racism towards Japanese people. I know that's like a thing for them.
Oh, yeah.
But it really
hate
kind
each
of
other.
made the movie for me, honestly. I'm not going to spoil anything, but the main monster is just a work of art. I strongly recommend you go ahead and watch that. And that's all I've got for today.
What was that recommendation?
Exuma.
Have you guys watched it?
I have not, but I do want to say, Gail, that I actually called into the pod, a year and a half, 2 years ago, and I was like, I remember so specifically being played on the podcast. So I agree with you, girl.
Yeah. I will revise my score for The Substance. Like, upon reflection, I can't remember what I gave it, but that is a 10 out of 10 movie at this point. It's so unique. I can't remember what score I gave it. It was high, but should have been 10 out of 10. Okay, I'm sorry, Jordyn, for keeping you
Oh my God,
time.
it's okay. Hey, did you guys notice that I became a Patreon supporter?
I did.
Yeah.
We shouted you out. Thank you so much, Jordyn.
What episode did you shout me out on?
I don't know.
One of the past few ones.
Possum? I haven't listened to Possum yet.
It might have been. Oh, do you get the ad-free version?
Yeah.
Now?
Yeah.
Okay, it might have been during the mid-roll, actually.
It probably was.
So you might have it been cut out.
Oh, it's fine. It's really
I'm publicly
fine.
acknowledging and appreciating and thanking you, Jordyn, for becoming a subscriber to Patreon.
No, I just wondered if you got the alert. I told you and Sydney last time I came on that I was going to do that, and I had to follow through. So
you did, Sweet. And I appreciate it. Okay, everyone, thank you for coming to Horror Movie Talk. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. This shell is from my mission.
I just took a stroll through the scraggly woods. He had no face! Horror! Wow, that didn't sound good.